You're listening to the Bust-Proof Business Podcast, taking your business to the next level by taking you out of it. With our experience and proven results, we'll help you find the success that many crave, but only we can help you achieve. It's time to get started with your host, Greg Murphy.
Hey guys, it's Greg Murphy, and you're listening to the Bust-Proof Business Podcast. Today, I speak with my good friend Robyn Johnson, and she actually came into town for a one-day mastermind that we had here in Dayton, Ohio. And the next day, we spoke together on stage at Bust-Proof Live about small businesses and marketing with small budgets. And it was a really good time, and I always learn a lot when I speak with her. She's actually the one that helped me out with all the technical problems I had with starting the podcast. So she's kind of to blame for this. So you can go ahead and talk to her about that. But we had a really good time. We had a really great conversation. And so without anything else, let's just get right into it.
Hey guys, it's Greg Murphy from the Bust-Proof Business Podcast. And today I'm talking with my good friend, Robyn Johnson from Best from the Nest. Is that right?
Yep, Best from the Nest.
Awesome. So today we just finished our one-day mastermind. We had a group of 15 or 16 folks here, I think. And can we talk first about masterminds in general? I think they're really valuable because this is a pretty isolating business in general. What do you think?
I think masterminds and networking and having people in your life playing like a similar game is really important, because not only is like what we do very isolating, like sometimes it's hard to tell, are we winning, are we losing? And having somebody who's doing something similar, or even just working on trying to have a business, because, it's kind of like that meme that says like, you got a new job and you get like 172 likes, and you're like, I started a new business, you get like 3 likes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard. You can't always talk about what's going on in your business with your like in real life friends. So it's important to make in real life business friends, and to have people that are, playing at the best in their field, for you to be, you're constantly looking for that room that's got that next level thinking in it. So you can be pushed yourself and always be challenged and be moving forward in your business.
So, and it was a great time today, and I think that we learned a lot from each other. But let's talk about, first off, who are you, Robyn Johnson? Like, tell us about your story. How'd you get into this?
So I started with $100. I used to be a youth minister. And when you work for the church, they say the benefits are out of this world because the pay is not. And and even some people ask. I guess I am getting sick of that joke too. But I loved what I did, but it just didn't pay the bills. I had my son had some health issues, so we started buying things. We were doing Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University, and I was listening to one of the CDs, and it was talking about this lady who was buying things and reselling them. So we took $100 out of our emergency fund, which was like $1 million at that time, and we started buying things at garage sales and reselling them on Craigslist. From there, we moved to eBay and Amazon, our own website, and now we also have courses on selling on Amazon, and then we also do consulting with brand owners.
Okay, so let's talk, though, because I think the reason that we get along so well is that neither one of us were the kind of people that were selling, buying gum and then selling sticks of gum in school and all those things that the, tried and true born entrepreneurs did.
Oh, no. Like when the wrapping paper thing, at school you're supposed to sell the wrapping paper. I never sold any wrapping paper.
Where is the school where they sell wrapping
Apparently
paper?
In California, California, you had to sell like overpriced cookie dough and wrapping paper. It was like $12 a roll or something. It was ridiculous.
We sold candy in Ohio. That's how we roll here.
Well, I probably would have eaten the candy.
Yeah, I did eat the candy. Yeah. It was bad news for me.
Yeah, I would probably say I was probably like the least entrepreneurial person. I thought, I always kind of thought having a business was scary. I thought I would end up working in either the church or a big corporation because, I like security. But it was kind of realizing that, even that security of having a job, like having the consistency of a paycheck wasn't really security for my family. And that I really wanted to be the one that would cause me and my husband together, cause the results that we really wanted for our life, and to be able to make the impact and the legacy that we want for our lives.
Well, let's talk about security for a second, because that's interesting. I like to say the same thing, that when you have a business, it takes a lot of people to fire you. When you work for someone, people have this thought process that that's more secure, when in fact you can be fired by your boss because the brother-in-law wants the job for whatever other reason.
Yeah, because, I mean, when you think about it, you could work for a company for 30 years, think that you're irreplaceable, and then the business changes. Or, maybe the business owner makes some bad decisions and now they can't afford you and the business goes under. And I think that we have the illusion when you're an employee, you have the illusion that things are more secure because you're not the one that's responsible for the hiring and the firing, but you're really at the will of somebody else's decisions, and you're really kind of putting your family's livelihood in their hands, which, for some people that works best for them. But for me, I'm kind of a control freak and I'm kind of a bossy boiler. And so I kind of like running my own ship.
A bossy boiler.
That's from Thomas the Tank Engine.
My daughter isn't into Thomas the Train Engine yet.
Oh, I know more about trains than I ever thought I would. My son was obsessed with Thomas.
Sydney's obsessed with dinosaurs. She loves, but she's weird. So she doesn't like the kids' dinosaur movies. She likes Jurassic Park. And so she's almost 4, but she wants to watch the dinosaurs.
Like rip somebody's head off.
Yeah, it's really, I'm sure we did something bad a couple years back. But she's big into dinosaurs, but that's the kind of stuff she likes.
Oh, my son is not. My son is like not into dinosaurs at all. But he can tell you the difference between H gauge and O gauge and the model trains. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, like he'll tell you like we went to a train park, and he's like, I don't know why that they have a steam tank on that engine. That is a diesel train. And I was like, how do you know this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kids are. I mean, I think that they're smarter than us because of the internet, like by far. And even when, with my daughter, she'll watch the same videos over and over, like the same version or different versions of. She's obsessed now with the thing with the goat. The 7 goats and the wolf, where the goats, it's terrifying because what happens is that the wolf, spoiler alert, guys, the wolf will eat 6 of the goats. The 7th goat hides somewhere. The mom goat comes back, sees the daughter or the kid, the one that's left, and gets mad and with a pair of scissors cuts open the wolf's belly. Apparently, he must have ate the goats whole, and then takes them out. Fills them back up with rocks, and then that's the end of the story.
Wow, I thought because my son was obsessed with this. My son likes documentaries. So he watches videos like how the Concordia sunk and like the natural history of the chicken, and like there was a documentary on farts, which he very much enjoyed.
Yeah, Sid's into farts too.
Yeah. There's the potty jokes. They're classic. You can't go wrong with a good potty joke. Wrong.
So let's get past reviewing children's books.
Yeah.
Because
we could do that all day.
Right. That's going to be our another podcast we're going to start.
Yeah.
Children's book review with Greg and Robyn. But okay, so let's talk. I want to talk about Best from the Nest because out of everyone that sort of does what we do, I really respect the way that you handle your audience and the way that you've built your business. I ask you questions all the time, and you're so nice to answer me. But let's talk about Best from the Nest. So what exactly does that entail?
So in the Best from the Nest brand, what we have...
Real quick, I'm sorry. I want to ask you this. What does that mean, Best from the Nest?
So, okay, because I thought I was original and I'm not. So when I first started my business, I thought it was it wasn't even really going to be a business. It was just like a hobby to get like a little extra money. And so I named it Robyn's Nest. Well, Robyn's Nest is not an original name, and no domain variation at all was available. So what we kind of looked at was when I was looking at trying to do like some information to try to help other people, we wanted to take the best from our nest, from Robyn's Nest, and share it with other people.
Gotcha. Yeah. I had no idea what it meant.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are like, "What?" Yeah. It's like Tidex or
Well, at least you don't have to explain bus proof 100 times a day. I think we made a worse choice. Maybe we'll see. Time will tell. But yeah, I think that in general, the way that you build your business, the way that you're constantly growing your audience and the people that you're talking with, and just the help that you're giving in the community is something that we really aspire to.
Thank you. I really appreciate that from you, because I have a lot of respect for you too. And we really believe, like, you know, at the depth of our soul collectively, and especially mine, but that an educated seller makes the marketplace better. And that when we can all become a little bit, you know, when we can share some of the knowledge through some of the, you know, really, and most of my content really comes from my failures, but to be able to share that with other people. And, you know, like, I went to my accountant, I was meeting a new accountant, and I really didn't feel like I had a real business. And, you know, so we were kind of going through things, and I was like, so, you know, do I have a real business yet? And she laughed and she said, you realize you're in the top 2% of all women-owned businesses in the country.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, it's funny because when like going back to that mastermind question, when you don't have people that you're really having these real conversations with, sometimes it's easy to be really hard on yourself, or it's easy to kind of let yourself get complacent in certain areas. So it's important to have, like, I really value your friendship because you call me to be like that best version. And I think that's an important role that you have, because you really want the community as a whole to rise.
And I think that having someone and a group of other people to compare yourself with, and it can also be good from a competitive standpoint,
Yeah.
right? Where I don't want to be embarrassed by the way my sales funnel or the way my landing page looks. I don't want Robyn to look at that and then give me grief. We want to make sure that it's in good shape.
Yeah, and nobody wants that call that says, hey, 1990s called, they want their landing page back.
Right. Because I remember when we first started talking, it felt to me like I was like in the desert. I was alone. There are not a lot of people in our industry that kind of is doing this the way that I think that we ought to do it. And so we talked for a long time, and it was just great to have somebody that kind of understood that the way that our community, the way that our audience is reacting is because of these specific things that you're doing.
Yeah, and it's. I think the best part for me is getting to be a part of people's stories. You know, when people say that, you know, something made a difference for them, whether it was free content or paid content, because we've got our podcast too, the Unstoppable Entrepreneur Show, and you know, it just getting. Like, I think that it's a big honor to be part of somebody else's story too.
Yeah, it's exciting, and I want to before we move on, I wanted to talk tomorrow. You and I are going to be on stage together at Busproof Live, and we're going to talk about marketing small businesses with small budgets. So if I've done my job right, the audience for this podcast is not just going to be nerdy Amazon sellers like us. It's also going to be people that have businesses that are mowing lawns, that are painting houses, that are doing janitorial work, that are actually building things in America, right? That's the stuff that's interesting to me, is local businesses. So that's what we're going to talk about. And can you give folks that are listening here a preview, maybe one thing that they can do as a small business owner that has maybe something local that's retail oriented that they can do to help build their business?
So, you know, with local businesses, you know, I think there's some obvious things that sometimes we know we need to do, but we're just afraid it's going to be hard. And so we don't really look into it. And, you know, making sure that you're on Yelp, that you're on Google Business, and that you've got that registered is really important. If you think about how people look for, you know, fast food or lawn care, they're probably going to type it into Google or into their phone. And to make sure your site is mobile responsive is more important than ever. Not only does Google penalize you if you're not mobile responsive, but you have to understand, especially if you're going to be driving traffic from someplace like Facebook, that traffic is going to be most likely mobile. So we're seeing more and more. So having your site be mobile, not just mobile friendly, but really mobile responsive to all the different screens is going to be really important. And making sure that if you can target a niche, instead of just trying to compete with all the other realtors, if you can say, well, I am the realtor in Ohio, in Dayton, for people who need homes with like mobility issues, or I am the lawn care for people, you know, who have, you know, that have a certain type of grass allergy, or that, you know, that people that want in a certain neighborhood. And then it makes it a lot easier once you have that target avatar, like that specific customer in mind, to tailor content directly to them. So my friend Sharon has this great seminar that she puts on for authors. She calls it Speak, Serve, and Sell. And I'm just going to borrow that title and twist it a little bit. And so I say you should stock, serve, and sell. So if you're in a local market, find out who your customers are. Who is your ideal customer? If you could clone them, find out where they hang out, find out where they spend their time online. And that's where you really want to target your market, your marketing towards, is to find out where they are. And then once you find out where they are, make sure that you're providing a contribution to those areas. So like in the Amazon space, a lot of other Amazon sellers are on the Facebook groups. So contributing to other Facebook groups is a way to make sure that you're providing value to the community, and you're also having your name become more aware in the space. So, if somebody comes out of left field with a course and nobody's ever heard of them in a group, they're probably not going to be taken as seriously as if they've been, part of these groups over a long period of time, contributing to and being an active part of the community. So locally, the equivalent might be being in BNI or, being part of the Chamber of Commerce and things like that. But also, offering to do something for the schools, local fundraisers, all of those things you can market very inexpensively. You can just kind of have to do like a little more guerrilla warfare. You don't have to spend a lot of money on marketing, but you just have to figure out, what is the end goal, and how can I make myself so valuable to the community that people naturally will want to share my business.
And okay, so I'd like to add a couple things to that. First off, Facebook ads are by far the cheapest and most effective marketing for local businesses that I've ever seen.
It's amazing.
At the Dollar Book Swap, we're growing each and every week here in Dayton because of that. That's basically the only way that we do any kind of advertising at all. Now, the minimum you can spend is $5 a day on Facebook. And that'll get you, normally most markets, 500 people to see what you're doing. And I've tried to do radio before. I've tried to do television before, and newspaper stuff, all that. It doesn't even touch it.
So the other thing that I think would be really good is, trying to use email marketing. I think sometimes people think that's just for digital businesses, but making sure that you have a list yourself of your clients. Not only can you use that in part of your Facebook marketing as far as creating lookalike audiences, and you can just Google how to do that. But on top of that, you can, and text marketing, things like, if you're using Infusionsoft, there's companies like Fix Your Funnel that you can send text messaging. So I know somebody who got a pizza, that they bought a pizza company that had been in business forever, and they had business cards that they had collected over the years that they had rights to market to. And so when the new person bought the pizza place, what they did is they re-opted everybody in, and then they figured out what nights were their slowest, and then they broke their list up into segments. So if somebody normally ordered a pizza on Tuesday night, they might send them a text saying, here's a coupon. Would you like to have your normal Tuesday night order? And so you can actually use that to re-engage your customers, to bring them in, and, give things people to share, coupons, things people can share on social. And I think that having, some authenticity behind your brand, showing people, what's behind the shiny logo is increasingly more important for local businesses.
Yeah. And the video is very important, especially with social media. And people like to see more than you would think. And like, speaking of the pizza place, if a Facebook Live of you making the dough from scratch and talking about, all the care that you're putting into this and why this is better than, going to a chain restaurant, and how these tomatoes were picked, special for just the whole thing. People care about that.
How you pick your pepperoni, why you use this kind of sauce and that kind of sauce. Like, that's the kind of stuff can go viral. Like, not necessarily the sauces, but if it's like how to cook a pizza so, it doesn't get, crusty, or if you're I can't say breath. Rochelle makes fun of me.
Are you serious?
I say breakfast.
You don't?
I do. I say breakfast. So I have to really try to say breakfast.
See, I'm nervous because Sydney. So someone's telling me that she has like a thing, a speech thing. She's only 4.
Yeah.
But they tell me that she has some kind of, because she says, what does she say? She doesn't say her L's, right?
L's are later, I think. There's a
Yater. She'll say yater instead of later.
My daughter didn't speak at all until she was 4.
Oh, wow.
So we did like speech therapy and everything, and she will not. Like, I love my daughter, but she does not stop talking now. She's making up for all the lost time.
I thought they were just freaking me out, but I'm also one of those parents that's like, I mean, I'm going to mess her up one way or the other. I'm sure.
You know, you're going to pay the therapy bills either way.
Yeah, I remember when she was 2, I kept trying to make her first memory. I'm like, so we're going to go outside and play in the rain. We're going to have a paint fight with body paint. We're going to paint each other and have a fun time when mom's gone. We're going to do all this stuff. And I know for sure that her first memory is going to be something like the one time out of 100 where she's trying to pull me into play and I have to take the phone call. And then she just looks at me with that face. I'm like, oh, that's another $1,000 in therapy. So, yeah, I know that's going to happen. I'm sure it is.
Well, you kind of almost have to do some of that with your customers, too. I mean, like for every, really great interaction you have with your customers, there's going to be 1 or 2 customer interactions that aren't as great. And so you kind of have to always be aware of, what's going on with your customers and who the people on your front lines. I think the best marketing a local business can do is to have extraordinary service and a very high quality product, because people love to share like, oh, I got a guy,
Yeah.
And so be that guy that people are like, all right, I know you already have a guy, but my guy is so great that I have to share you have to check out my guy. You have to check out my pizza place. My lawn guy is the best because he specializes in this,
And I 100% agree with you. There's here in my neighborhood in Dayton, I grew up in Old North Dayton, and it's changed a lot over the years. But there's these little like pancake houses around here that are crushing it. They're always full. And right next to it is like an abandoned, like whatever, like no one's in that space. And these guys don't have any parking spots ever. And you go in and it's just the same. It looks like every place else, but the food is amazing. And it's a great value for the money, and everybody's nice. And you can see that all they do is they just try a little bit harder. And that pays off over time.
You want your customers to feel like they're cherished and important, and not make them feel like that, like it's inauthentic, like you're pretending, because people see through that. You have to actually be in a business that you care enough about your customers that it just shines through in what you do. So if you can't find that in the industry that you're in, then you need to make sure your staff for sure has that passion for serving that community in that way, and that you're really clear that, business should be a service. And, when you do your service well, then you're rewarded with money, because you can make a quick sale and you can be a really slick marketer and you can get somebody in the door, but they're going to come back based off their experiences, so making sure that your customer experience is ideal is really the cheapest way that you can market.
And who would have thought then that like doing the right thing and being a good guy is what makes the money, right? So Dan Miller, who I love Dan Miller, and he says that dollar bills are like thank you cards.
Yeah.
That basically that's the way, like you're not holding a gun, that you're not robbing a bank. You're making pizza or whatever the example is. And so when people come in and you're not this random pretend imaginary local pizza place we're talking about, they're not charging $7 for a pizza like Domino's. It's probably more expensive, and you're willing to pay that because you saw him in a Facebook Live video that he spent $5 a day to promote. You're seeing him back there making the sauce, crushing the tomatoes, or whatever people make sauce. I don't know, but whatever it is. But whatever it is that they're doing, they're showing you how they're making the dough. They're showing you how they do all this, and you can tell that they care. And that's something that comes through if it's real. And good guys win is the point.
And, it's not only just seeing them, but they're going to get to see you in your community. They're going to see, that like I'm willing to, my son's got all these crazy food allergies. So the couple of places that we do go out to eat, like I'm fine paying $14 for a 10-inch pizza because it's the only time my son gets to feel normal, like, so we get pizza for him for Pizza Friday so he can be like everybody else. But it costs us a good amount of money, but to have him be safe and to get to have that experience of being like everybody else, that pizzeria that provides, that safe food or that specializes in farm to table pizza or has some other thing that makes them special, not like a gimmick, but like really serving an audience, like they're providing more than just pizza. They're providing, and I think that's really, even on Amazon, selling on Amazon, those things that you can sell for way over retail, it's not because they're buying salt and pepper, or it's not because they're buying a plate. It's because they're buying being able to impress their mother-in-law or being able to make their food that they've had as for Christmas for their kids. It's buying experiences, and I think people, especially now with the millennials, social good and having those quality experiences are incredibly important. And if you have a demographic that's got millennials in it, making sure you have some aspect of social good is incredibly important to retain employees and also to attract new customers.
And it's also a good thing to do, right?
Just like in general, being a good person. I have it on good authority, kind of.
Yeah. Being a good dude it makes you money. It just does, because people see that and they want to interact with somebody that are like them. Mm-hmm. And I think most people are good people. So, it is something that we learned at the Dollar Book Swap is people come in and I've always told my staff it's a family business, but I've always told them we want to be the Chick-fil-A bookstores. We want to be the people that people are excited to come and see. We want to always be smiling, be super helpful. And we're not for everybody. It's books for $1 in a warehouse. It can be dusty. Sometimes we don't have the best climate control. But there's people that love us, My Uber driver today. Yeah. Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I was like, I'm going here. And she's like, oh, the Dollar Book Swap place. Oh, I got this book from the Dollar Book Swap.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's terrific. But, and I spend Facebook ads every week. We spend a good chunk of change on Facebook ads to get people to just remember that we're here. It's not direct response marketing that a lot of us are used to. It's branding.
Yep.
To say, hey, remember, we exist.
Keeping you top of mind.
Yeah, because they're not just going to drive by here. You've seen that. Yeah. No one's just going to drive by and come into the warehouse.
You're not next to a McDonald's, that's for sure.
No, we're definitely not. Well, let's go ahead and move on. I want to talk about your boot camp because Q4 is something that people talk about a lot. I'm a book guy, so it's a little bit different for me. But Q4 is October, November, December. And it's when selling stuff on Amazon goes crazy. So tell us about your Q4 Bootcamp. There's a lot of people that are starting out that are trying to learn about how to do this stuff and start selling on Amazon. So what is this Bootcamp thing about?
So our boot camp is really geared towards, when you are selling on Amazon, you have this, it seems like magical a period where, sales velocity just goes up. And it can be different depending on your product mix. For you, you see it really at the beginning and the end of semesters. You have a different period. But for those of us who are in some of the giftable categories like home and toys, grocery, those categories, we see a huge volume and increase in the purchases on Amazon. So it's really a time to strategically learn how to cause growth in your business. So what business reports do you need? How do you set your goals and how do you set your targets so that you can prove to yourself that you can be at the cause of considerable growth in your business over time? Because I think sometimes people have it like, my business will work or my business won't work. And it really comes down to, are you willing to invest in your business and play full out and make sure that even if you don't learn it from a boot camp or, go to Dollar Book Swap and get some books on business. Making sure that you have the strategies and the tactics that you need in order to really make sure that your business is staying healthy, profit-wise. Are you taking on too much debt? What is your inventory doing as far as your turning? How is your inventory turning? Our friend says the sexiest word in the English language is assets. And the second is royalties. So if your assets, your inventory isn't turning well, then that actually costs you money unless you buy it with that intention to hold and you have that margin to be able to watch that turn. So, you need to be able to understand, am I buying and selling things in the time that I expected them to? Or is maybe when I really look at my numbers, I'm not getting the results that I really thought I was. And whether you find out it's good news or bad news, you want to know, and this is good for local businesses too, getting into your numbers and really knowing your numbers is really important to make sure that you can have enough time to pivot and to make the changes that you need to make to keep your business alive.
Okay, so where can we find out more about the Q4 Bootcamp?
So you can go to bestfromthenest/Q4, and we have information there. You can also check out my podcast called The Unstoppable Entrepreneur Show that's on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and iHeartRadio.
And you one time had a very special guest.
I did. I had this very handsome bookseller that was on. You can actually listen to the episode with Greg. It was a great episode, actually.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much, Robyn, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, thank you.
So yeah, guys, I hope you were taking notes because Robyn did drop a lot of value there for us. The way she engages with her audience is unlike a lot of people in our industry. She really cares about each and every person that she works with. I'm really impressed by that. And, I try to be, she's really an influence and a role model that I have. And I'm really grateful that she was on the show with us today. So again, thanks again, Robyn, and thank you guys for listening. So definitely check out bestfromthenest.com. Always remember to check out bustproofworkshop.com as well for some upcoming workshops that we have. They just get a little bit more in depth than we can have time for on the podcast. And also, guys, remember, make today count.
That's all for this episode of the Bustproof Business Podcast. Be sure to point your browser to bustproofworkshop.com to sign up for our mailing list and to get your opportunity to enroll in one of our specialized seminars, guaranteeing you continued results in typical Bustproof fashion. Thanks again for joining us. We look forward to taking your business to the next level right here on the Bustproof Business Podcast.